Hey ELC friends, I am so excited to share some wonderful news with you today. So, as some of you may already know, each year in May, Level 1 and Level 2 collaborate to present a story that is full of acting, dancing, singing, costumes, props, all of those wonderful things. We practice, we put it all together, and then we perform it for our school community and for our families. So obviously this year things are going to have to be a little different, but Senora Bertani and I have been working together and we think we've come up with a wonderful way that we can proceed with our opera. So this year the story that we chose is called Mama Provi and the Pot of Rice. Everyone has heard this story in chapel. Senora Bertani does a great job of presenting it. And we just thought it was a wonderful story about how to serve others, especially during their time of need when they might be feeling a little bit down or a little bit vulnerable. So I'm going to read the story for you guys today just so we can refamiliarize ourselves with it. And then next week we'll be sending out a script to our Level 2 students. All of the Level 2s will have a speaking part or a role to play in this storytelling. Level 1s, you'll get to learn the songs and sing them along with me. And then we'll do a Zoom call to put it all together during the week of May 11th. So more to come on that. We're still figuring out all the details, parents. But we think that this will be a wonderfully creative and fun way for all of us to put together our ELC virtual opera for 2020. All right, so let's get on to the story and then we'll announce the rest later once we are ready to post those details. So Mama Provi and the Pot of Rice is by Silvia Rosa Casanova and it's illustrated by Robert Roth. Mama Provi lived on the first floor of a tall apartment building. Her granddaughter, Lucy, who was 6 years old, lived with her parents on the 8th floor of the very same building. Twice a month, Lucy spent the night at Mama Provi's. They played games and listened to old, scratchy records. At bedtime, Lucy always begged Mama Provi for a story. Mama Provi wove marvelous tales about when she was a little girl growing up in Puerto Rico with her 5 brothers and 4 sisters. Lucy fell asleep to stories filled with palm trees, sweet mangoes, and tiny tree frogs called coquis. In the morning, Lucy helped Mama Provi cook breakfast. It was always a tremendous feast because Mama Provi didn't know how to cook for only 2 people. In her big family, she had been taught to cook for 12 people at one time. One Saturday, Lucy's mama called to say that Lucy had the chicken pox and would not be able to spend the night. Lucy was very sad. Mama Provi wondered what she could do to cheer her up. Before long, Mama Provi had a wonderful idea. Lucy always said that Mama Provi made the best chicken with rice in the whole world. And so, Mama Provi took out her largest pot and set out to make the most delicious arroz con pollo ever. When the rice had cooled just enough, Mama Provi packed the pot in an enormous shopping bag. She locked her door and started up the stairs to the 8th floor. Mama Provi never, ever rode the elevator. The pot of rice was heavy, and it was not long before Mama Provi had to stop to catch her breath. She was resting on the 2nd floor landing when a wonderful smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma instantly and without giving it another thought, knocked briskly on the door of apartment 2B. Mrs. Landers opened the door. "Excuse me for bothering you, Mrs. Landers, but is that your crusty white bread I smell?" Mrs. Landers said it was. I wonder if you would trade a bit of your bread for a little bit of my arroz con pollo. I'm taking this rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and a piece of your bread would go so well with it." Mrs. Landers was only too pleased to make the trade, for she also loved Mama Provi's arroz con pollo. In un dos por tres, which in Spanish means something like lickety-split, Mrs. Landers wrapped up a large chunk of her freshly baked bread and exchanged it for a bowl of Mama Provi's rice. After thanking Mrs. Landers, Mama Provi went on up the stairs with the pot of rice and the chunk of bread. Mama Provi had not gone very far when she again stopped to catch her breath, this time on the third floor. Again, a delightful smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma instantly, and without giving it another thought, knocked on the door of apartment 3E. Senor Rivera opened the door. "Excuse me for bothering you, Senor Rivera, but are those your frijoles negros that I smell?" Mama Provi asked. Senor Rivera said that they were. "I wonder if you would trade a bit of your black beans for a bowl of the arroz con pollo that I'm taking to Lucy. She's sick with the chicken pox, and your beans would go so well with the rice." Senor Rivera was only too pleased to make the trade. In un dos por tres, he poured generous helpings of his beans into a container and traded it for some of Mama Provi's rice. When Mama Provi reached the fourth floor, she was surprised to find Mrs. Bazzini from apartment 4G waiting for her. "Mrs. Landers called to tell me that you have a large pot of arroz con pollo, and you're taking it to Lucy," said Mrs. Bazzini. "I was wondering if you would trade a bowl for some of my fresh green salad." Mama Provi agreed immediately. A nice tossed salad would go very well with her arroz con pollo. So, in un dos por tres, Mama Provi exchanged a bowl of her chicken with rice for some of the fresh green salad. After thanking Mrs. Bazzini, Mama Provi continued up the stairs carrying the pot of rice, the chunk of bread, the container of black beans, and the bowl of salad. Having given away so much of her rice, Mama Provi was amazed that her shopping bag was still so heavy. She was resting on the fifth floor when a heavenly smell tickled her nose. She recognized the aroma instantly and knocked briskly on the door of apartment 5A. Mrs. Johnson opened the door. "Excuse me for bothering you, Mrs. Johnson, but are those your collard greens I smell?" Mama Provi asked. Mrs. Johnson said that they were. "I wonder if you would trade a bit of those greens for a bowl of the arroz con pollo that I have in this pot. I am taking it to Lucy, who's sick with the chicken pox, and your collard greens would go so well with the rice." In un dos por tres, Mrs. Johnson wrapped up a generous portion of her collard greens and traded it for a bowl of Mama Provi's rice. When Mama Provi reached the sixth floor, she bumped right into Mrs. Wu. "Mrs. Bazzini called to say that Lucy is ill with the chicken pox," said Mrs. Wu. "Please take this tea to her. I hope it will make her feel better." Mama Provi asked Mrs. Wu if she would like a bowl of arroz con pollo, but Mrs. Wu said that she would wait until next time Mama Provi made her tasty rice. After thanking Mrs. Wu, Mama Provi continued up the stairs carrying the pot of rice, the chunk of bread, the container of black beans, the bowl of salad, the generous portion of collard greens, and the pot of hot tea. On the seventh floor, Mama Provi stopped to rearrange her shopping bag. Another enchanting smell tickled her nose. She recognized it instantly and knocked briskly on the door of apartment 7C. Mrs. Kelly answered the door. "Excuse me for bothering you, Mrs. Kelly, but is that your apple pie that I smell?" Mama Provi asked. Mrs. Kelly said that it was. I wonder if you would trade a sliver of your delicious apple pie for a bowl of the arroz con pollo that I have in this bag. I'm taking this pot of rice to Lucy, who is sick with the chicken pox, and a slice of your apple pie would be perfect. Mrs. Kelly was only too pleased to make the trade, and she exchanged a healthy slice of her apple pie for a bowl of Mama Provi's chicken with rice. Although Mama Provi had given away quite a bit of her arroz con pollo, her shopping bag was still very heavy. She had finally reached the 8th floor and had stopped to catch her breath when a delicious, heavenly, enchanting, wondrous, delightful smell reached her nose. It was her arroz con pollo, Mrs. Lander's freshly baked bread, Senor Rivera's black beans, Mrs. Bazzini's green salad, Mrs. Johnson's collard greens, Mrs. Wu's tea, and Mrs. Kelly's apple pie. Without giving it another thought, she knocked briskly on the door of apartment 8F. Lucy answered the door. She was covered with spots. Excuse me for bothering you, little girl, but are you sick with the chicken pox and can't come visit your grandmother? Lucy said that she was, and then hugged Mama Provi as hard as she could. Mama Provi pointed to the enormous shopping bag. Together they carried it up into the apartment and set up a tremendous feast. Let's eat, said Mama Provi. And that is exactly what they did. So I hope you enjoyed the story. Like I said, we'll be sending out some more detailed instructions next week so that everybody knows what is expected of them. You'll have time to practice your parts with your parents, and also Senora Bertani and I will be able to help you with any of the words that you're unfamiliar with or just need a little reassurance about. We'll have a few songs mixed in, and we'll get all the details ironed out and get those to you soon. We are so excited. This is a really fun way to end our year together. All right, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.